Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Endurance Technologies Q2 FY22 results conference call hosted by Axis Capital Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone telephone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nishit Jalan from Axis Capital. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Melissa. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Q2 FY22 result conference call of Endurance Technologies. From the management team, we have with us Mr. Anurang Jain, Managing Director, Mr. Ramesh Gehani, Director and COO, Mr. Massimo Venuti, Director and CEO, Endurance Overseas, Mr. Satyajit Ray, Director and Group CFO, and Mr. Raj Mundra, Treasurer and Head Investor Relations. I'll now hand over the call to Mr. Jain for his opening remarks, post which we can have the Q&A session. Over to you, Mr. Jain.
Thanks a lot. Good morning to everybody. I would like to share details of how we have done in the second quarter of the financial year 2021-22. In India, in the second quarter of FY22, as per the CM data, the two-wheeler industry sales grew by 4.5% compared to quarter 2 of the previous financial year. Scooters grew by 2.3% and motorcycles grew by 6.3%. The automotive industry in India had a degrowth of 1.4%. As you all know, our two-wheeler business in India is approximately 80% of the total Endurance India standalone business. As per the CM report, the two-wheeler volumes for quarter 2 FY22 were at 52.2 million numbers as compared to 54.6 million numbers in quarter 2 of FY21. This 4.5% decrease from quarter 2 FY21 to quarter 2 FY22 two-wheeler volumes we feel is mainly due to the shortages of the ABS ECU for the 150cc plus motorcycles and the lower rural demand leading to lower entry-level two-wheeler demand. Against this two-wheeler volume drop of 4.5%, Endurance standalone top-line sales grew by 16.5%. In our overseas operations in quarter 2 of this financial year, the European and UK markets saw a decrease of 23.6% in the volume of passenger cars sold, while our European sales degrew by 19.5% in euro terms. I will now brief you on the financials of the second quarter of FY22. During quarter 2 of this financial year as compared to previous year's same quarter, our consolidated total net income grew from rupees 17,772.9 million to rupees 18,957.5 million. Consolidated EBITDA degrew from rupees 3,203 million to rupees 2,681.9 million. Consolidated EBITDA margin was at 14.1%. The profit after tax degrew from rupees 1,671.5 million in quarter 2 FY21 to rupees 1,333 million and was at 7. This included the income of the Maharashtra package scheme of incentives of rupees 302.6 million. There was no consolidated net debt and company had a positive cash flow of rupees 3,524 million. During quarter 2 of this financial year, our standalone total income grew from rupees 12,927 million to rupees 15,057 million. Standalone EBITDA degrew from rupees 2,357 million to rupees 2,170 million with an EBITDA margin of 14.4%. Standalone profit after tax degrew from rupees 1,343.9 million in quarter 2 FY21 to rupees 1,223.6 million, and the profit after tax was at 8.1%. This included the income of the Maharashtra Package Scheme of incentives of rupees 302.6 million. The main reason for the drop in EBITDA percentage is due to the RMC percent increase from 59.8% in quarter 2 of FY21 to 64.8% in quarter 2 of FY22. This is mainly due to the large aluminum alloy and steel price increases. We would like to mention that Endurance is focused in both its Indian and European operations for a profitable growth and in growing higher than the industry growth. The detailed financials are available with the stock exchanges and on the Endurance website. I would also like to now share certain key points for quarter 2 of this financial year. 79.4% of the consolidated total income, including other income, came from our Indian operations, and the balance 20.6% came from our European operations. In India, till quarter 2, rupees 2,364.40 million of new business has been won from OEMs, which included Hyundai, Tata Motors, Case New Holland, Hero MotoCorp, Mahindra & Mahindra, and Sanmina. I would like to mention that in addition, we have rupees 19,948 million worth of requests for quotes from OEMs, which are being discussed. Our focus is to supply all our 4 product area products to all our OEMs. I would also like to mention that Endurance is also focusing on a more value add and profitable product mix in its future business, which includes braking, suspension, and casting supplies to 2- and 3-wheeler EV OEMs and the new startups. Second is the 200cc plus motorcycle brakes and clutch assemblies with the help of our acquisition of Adler and Grimeca in Italy in the year 2020. The 200cc plus motorcycle brakes business has already started from September 2021, and the 200cc plus motorcycles clutch business will start by quarter 1 of the next financial year. Other product mix focus areas are the paper-based clutch assemblies replacing the cork-based clutch assemblies for motorcycles, the continuous variable transmissions or automatic clutch for scooters, the anti-lock brake systems or the ABS for 150cc plus motorcycles with our collaboration with Beijing West Industries, which is ex-Delphi. We have already started supplies to Bajaj Auto from September 2021 onwards. Next is the 200cc plus motorcycle inverted front forks and adjustable rear monoshock absorbers. This is with the help of our collaboration partners KTM AG. We are working with KTM to increase supply of both the on-road and also start with the off-road motorcycle higher technology, inverted front forks and rear shock absorbers, and we have already made a 5-year plan for it. We are also focusing on fully finished machine castings as compared to raw castings and semi-finished castings for 2, 3, and 4-wheelers. We are also focusing on aluminum castings machine business for non-automotive applications like for gensets and for the 5G telecom industry. We have been already awarded a total business of rupees 1,100 million for this non-automotive business, this non-automotive casting business, which will start in March and April 2022. As this brake assembly business is growing with addition of Bajaj, TVS, Royal Enfield, Yamaha, Hero MotoCorp, and HMSI new business, we are increasing supplies of disc brake assemblies from 285,000 brake assemblies a month to 570,000 brake assemblies a month, and discs from 375,000 numbers a month to 675,000 numbers a month, which will reach full capacity by March 2022. Our second plant at Waluj, Aurangabad has been set up for this increase in volumes, and we will start by the end of this month in the new plant. As mentioned earlier, on 2nd February 2021, we started operations at our new plant at Vallam near Chennai to supply machined aluminum castings for Hyundai, Kia, Royal Enfield, and now we are in the process of acquiring new business for this plant from both existing and new OEMs. In September 2021, we have also started supply of aluminum cylinder head low pressure die castings at our Pantnagar, Uttarakhand plant. The order is for 720,000 cylinder heads per annum. We are happy to inform you that the supply of two-wheeler ABS assemblies has started in the last week of September 2021. Our plan is to reach a run rate of 400,000 ABS assemblies per annum by July-August of 2022. As you may be aware, competition is mainly from Bosch, which controls the major market share in the Indian ABS market, which requires approximately 3 to 3.5 million ABS assemblies per annum, and this market is growing. This is a very large opportunity for Endurance, as there are very few suppliers due to the high technology requirement. We are also focused on supply of our products for EV 2 and 3 wheelers. We have already started supplies of brake assemblies, suspension and aluminum castings for electric scooters and 3 wheelers. Our focus is to supply our EV products to 2 and 3 wheeler OEMs, both existing and new, including Ola Electric, Ampere, Okinawa, Ultraviolet, Ather and Hero Electric, and new startups which are funded by OEMs. I'm happy to inform you that we have recently won the brake system order from Ather, which will start in Q1 of the financial year 2023. Due to increased orders from Bajaj and Yamaha India, we are increasing supplies from 240,000 alloy wheels a month to 320,000 alloy wheels a month in our existing Chakan plant near Pune by end of next month. As far as Europe is concerned, till Q2 of FY22, we have won 10.03 million euro of business from Porsche, Daimler, Case New Holland, and Stellantis, which is the Fiat Peugeot JV. As mentioned in previous investor calls, I would especially like to point out that in the last 3 years, 130 million euro of business has been won for electric and hybrid cars, which has already started in FY21 and will reach peak volumes in FY27. Out of this 130 million euro value, 35 million euro business won is for electric cars for Audi and Porsche, and 95 million euro business won is for hybrid cars for Volkswagen, Daimler, BMW, Stellantis, and Maserati. I would also like to point out that Endurance, both in India and Europe, is actively pursuing its focus on gaining access to new technology and focusing on new product organic and inorganic growth. I would also like to mention that Endurance has also entered into 2 backward integration product areas, which are import substitutes also. First is the aluminum forging axle clamps required for our inverted front forks. Endurance has entered into a technical collaboration with FGM Italy, and supplies will start at our Aurangabad plant from next month. The second product is wire braided hoses for ABS applications for mid and high-end bikes. The supplies have already started in June 21 of this year from our Aurangabad plant. Both of our projects will help us in our future profitable growth. In the second quarter of this financial year, our aftermarket sales grew from rupees 713.54 million in the previous year to 1100.5 million in this financial year. The aftermarket business was at 7.3% of our net India standalone sales in the second quarter of this year. We are exporting our aftermarket parts to 30 countries, and now we are adding 4 more countries in this year. We have started trading in 2 and 3 wheeler tires for both India and exports. In Q2 of FY22, the export sales for the India standalone business increased by 52% from rupees 427.23 million in Q2 of FY21 to rupees 516.93 million in Q2 of FY22. On the environment front, I would especially like to mention that Endurance is striving to being carbon neutral in its plants by effective use of solar power and wind power, creating carbon sinks by driving tree plantation and thereby creating dense forests, and driving use of natural gas and LPG in the place of electric power and furnace oil. We are also focusing on lowering hazardous waste generation and so as to achieve zero waste to landfill. At Endurance, it will be a continuous endeavor to grow through organic and inorganic growth with a focus on technology upgradation, quality improvement, cost, and environment, health and safety. We will do our best to fulfill all our stakeholder expectations by following our 5 values of customer centricity, integrity, transparency, teamwork, and innovation. With these opening remarks, I would like to invite questions from all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may enter star and one on their touchtone telephone. If your questions have been answered and you wish to withdraw yourself from the queue, you may enter star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask a question, you may enter star and one. We have the first question from the line of Ashutosh Tiwari from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. You mentioned that you received the brake assembly order from Ather. Is there any other order as well from any of the EV OEMs? And what would be this quantum of this order, this Ather order?
It's about rupees 500 million per annum to start with. And I would just like to say we are actively engaged with all the major two-wheeler EV companies, and we are quite at an advanced stage with most of them.
Okay, and this Ather will start from Q1 FY23 you mentioned?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And secondly, on the alloy wheel side, is there a delay in the ramp up? You said that earlier you were talking about October 21 starting of plant. Now is there?
Yeah, so there is a delay of next year as far as the plant is starting, but as far as the supplies are starting, we are in fact supplying from our existing plant.
Oh.
So we have not been affected by schedules at all, but of course we are under stress on the existing plant. But from next month it should be much better because as you know we are starting for the increased supplies to both Bajaj and IYM, Yamaha India.
Okay.
And I'm also talking to other OEMs quite actively. So we want to increase alloy wheel business now, from the new plant.
Okay, so the new plant capacity will be 320,000. So the overall capacity will go to 320,000 units per month.
Overall is 320,000 with the existing. So basically it's 80,000 numbers of alloy wheels a month, which is being increased in the new plant. But we can further increase it because the plant is large, so we can further expand that. It's not a problem.
So you are seeing good traction in this alloy wheel business.
So we are interacting with a few other strong OEMs on this, a very, very advanced stage for that. So when it happens, we will of course inform you.
And can you provide some color on the margins in this business? Is it like decent margin? Because I think few calls back you mentioned that it may...
The margin is decent. That I can assure you. Otherwise, I won't expand. So the margin is for sure decent.
Okay. And lastly, you mentioned that even excluding the material cost impact, there is a growth of almost high single digit in India operations YOY. So which products are doing the best as of now, like say in this year so far in terms of driving the growth?
Sorry, I didn't understand. Sorry.
You mentioned that in this quarter versus last year, there is a, even if I remove the material cost related increase in the selling prices, there is a high single digit growth YOY, right, versus industry decline. So which are the products which are driving this growth this year, major products?
Yeah, so I did not say that excluding raw material, the growth is high single digit. There would be a small growth because there was a very high increase, like I mentioned, by 5% from last year to this year. But I can tell you the major areas which are driving growth is of course the brakes, as you know. I've been talking about it, and I would say the casting business, because what is happening, we are going into fully finished. And I had mentioned the last few calls that casting business is now getting very attractive for us, because getting into full machining, the margins are better. I've been saying it for the last 2 years. And now getting to non-automotive business, like 5G telecom and gensets, it is a very, very good machine casting business, So we've already got, like I said, 1,100 million rupees of business starting in March, April 2022. It's just 5 months away from now. So this is a very attractive, and there's a huge scope of increase here. So we are quite excited about this business for our plants in Chakan and in Vallam, which is a new plant for die casting. So I would say in all this challenging situation we are in, there are some nice, interesting things happening on the EV front, on the alloy wheel, on suspension, on brakes, on non-automotive as well as fully machine castings for our existing OEMs. So there are quite a few, and of course, I didn't talk much about the new organic, inorganic opportunities where we are actively involved. I've been talking for the last 9 months to a year. So that, of course, we'll inform you once that happens. So that's also something very interesting happening.
This 1100 million is a new business mentioned? Million
Sorry?
rupees? This 1100 million new business is from which? What?
Yes, this will start from March and April 2022. So the company called Sanmina for the 5G telecom, and the company called Generic for the gensets. These are all machined aluminum casting applications for the gensets and for 5G telecom.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Jinesh Gandhi from Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. My question first pertains to the India business. So while there has been some impact of commodity cost on primarily benefiting revenue growth, can you share what would be revenue growth for our two-wheeler segment revenues, and what would be the contribution of PV segments now in second quarter versus last year?
So what you're asking me is what would be the growth in the
Two-wheeler segment revenues.
See, the two-wheeler percentage has gone up to about 81% now. It's normally 80, it was 75, 80, but two-wheelers is going up because it depends upon how the two-wheelers are doing versus four-wheeler in terms of volumes. Plus, what happens is our major customer, Bajaj Auto, to be honest, has quite done well because of its exports business, which is about 45% to 50% of sales. So they continue to do well in the COVID times, you know what I'm saying? And because they are more in the premium bikes, the major impact is more on the ABS ECU, but still they are doing well, And so I would say the two-wheeler is about 81% of our India standalone sales.
Sure. And PVs would be still high single digit, or that has been also growing quite rapidly?
Yeah, so four-wheeler has also grown. It is now about 6.5% of our India sales. See, the value has grown. The issue is that as a percentage, because two-wheeler has done better, the percentage looks like EBITDA margin, It's the same way, So I think, but this is a focus area for us now, four-wheelers. Hyundai, Kia, Tata Motors, Mahindra and Mahindra, like I mentioned last time.
Sure. So the 6.5% in 2Q this year, how does it compare with same quarter last year?
Oh, this is half year. No, this is for the half year, I'm telling you, half year. So it has increased by, I think, 1% over last year, approximately. It's a 1% increase.
Okay, understood. Second question is on the new product line which we have talked about. Any update on that? By when do you expect to close on that?
Yeah, you are talking about the organic inorganic growth?
Organic, yeah. Organic.
I would say 2 projects at a very advanced stage. So that's all I'll leave it at, because I can only say that it's very interesting and exciting this thing. But we'll tell you once it's done. So we'll tell you about that.
Okay.
We've been actually for the last 1 year on this, but there are some good things happening which are on proprietary, I could say. It is also EV specific. So our criteria when we evaluate is, of course, the market size and growth potential. It should be a technology product with barriers to entry. Should be few players. Of course, we look at the profitability and the ROC. It should be EV agnostic, and should have synergies with our operations and R&D strengths, which are there in endurance.
Right. And lastly, on the aluminium business, both in India as well as Europe, are you getting any feedback on shortage of magnesium and potential impact on our supply?
Yeah, so magnesium, I think Mr. Massimo Benuti will tell you, as he needs more of that. As far as we are concerned, definitely the silicon shortage because of the power crisis in China, which is a major supplier of silicon, manufacturer and supplier, has created havoc, if you ask me. So there's availability at a price. So for example, we saw 50 to 60 rupees a kg going up on a price of about 170 rupees a kg from 1st October. So you can imagine what it does to the RMC percentage to sales. So that is the kind of issue. Of course, there are shortages, but it is available. You know, if you are willing to pay the price, which all OEMs are willing because they can't lose sales. So that is the kind of impact. But I'm happy to tell you that steel is stabilizing. The steel pricing that is stabilized now. You know, which was just going crazy from Q3 of last financial year. But aluminum alloy is still going up, and only the new first is a scrap shortage. Then scrap prices went up. Now that stabilized a bit. Now you have the silicon shortage. I'm talking about India. As far as overseas is concerned, I'll request Mr. Venuti to speak on the magnesium. It's a similar situation. Massimo?
Yes.
Would you like to explain about the magnesium?
In the European market, in this moment, till today, we haven't had a problem with the aluminium. Even if, as you know, in Germany, we produce part of our production capacity with primary alloy, where there is the magnesium that arrives from China. Till today, no problem. We have strong contract with our supplier, even if we know that some competitor stopped the activity due to the fact that they haven't the open contract with the specific supplier. Apparently, the situation will improve starting from February. This is the feedback that we receive from our customer. And so, in this moment, as Endurance Overseas, no impact regarding the aluminium.
Okay, and Massimo, any update on the European business chip shortage impact? I mean, 2Q obviously was quite bad, but based on the production schedules which are getting for third quarter and fourth quarter, are you seeing a material improvement in chip availability and in turn recovery for us?
So in this moment, it's very difficult to understand clearly the situation, frankly speaking. I can tell you that we have seen a very bad result in terms of registration also in the month of October, as probably you know, because the market closed with more or less minus 30%, and also the production capacity in Germany they grew by more or less 40%. But now we are receiving the first positive signal for the month of November, December, and January. Apparently, we have seen an increase compared to the program of the last 8 weeks. So it means that probably we reached the minimum level from my point of view. The feedback from our customer is that starting from the first and the second quarter of 2022, we can come back to the normality. Also because, as you know, the situation of the semiconductor affected a lot of customers, a lot of automakers, but some like Ford, General Motors, Stellantis, much harder than other like Toyota, Tesla, and BMW. And so it depends also from the contract that they had with the final supplier. In my opinion, the positive aspect in this moment is that we are working in a tough way with our customer for the new development. And so it means that they apparently want to confirm the volume for 2022 as per their previous forecast.
Got it. Thanks. I'll come back in queue.
Thank you. Participants, if you have a question, you may enter star and 1. We have the next question from the line of Aditya Jhawar from Investec Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. Anurag, as you have mentioned in the press release that India business, excluding the impact of aluminium price increase, has grown at high single digits, excluding the impact even of government incentives. So similarly, if you can, share a number for Europe, that what would have been the decline excluding the impact of aluminium price increase?
So Massimo, would you like to answer that for Europe?
Yes, for sure. So first of all, if we speak about the turnover, as Mr. Jain told you, despite a reduction of 23.6% of the general market, as Endurance Overseas, we have had a reduction of 19.5%. But if I consider the same price of aluminium, the reduction was more or less 23.6%. And so it means completely in line with the reduction into the market. Speaking about the turnover, if we speak about EBITDA, we closed the second quarter of 2021 with 6.3 million of EBITDA, so it means 13.8% of EBITDA. If I try to offset the impact of the increase of aluminum, the turnover, the EBITDA should have been 14.7%. And so it means that we have had a reduction of EBITDA 1% only due to the increase of aluminum.
Okay. Fair enough. The next question is on the India business. Specifically for the die casting business, if you can help us understand that what kind of order wins we are seeing for electric vehicles, which are the products in die casting we are able to win for electric vehicle, what could be the pricing and comparable pricing for ICE products?
See, as far as the weight of the castings is concerned, the weight may be slightly lower, but we are finding number of parts to be more, as far as EV is concerned, And as far as, I think I mentioned it last time, as far as value add is concerned, though I don't like to say it on such call, value add we are finding is better. Okay. Now the type of casting we are seeing, just to give you some idea, is for example battery housings. We are seeing terminal grounds, terminal phases, base MCU, upper plates, motor housing. We are seeing, that is one example. Also, that we are seeing like case transmissions, castings, middle plates, upper plates. So names are different compared to crankcases and covers and cylinder blocks and cylinder heads, which are in an IC engine. So these are the kind of parts in casting we are finding. But let me be very clear: the overall weight is a bit lower, but the number of parts are more. But the value add with machining, we are finding it to be better. Just to give you some idea.
And we have already won orders in die casting for EV components, right?
Already started supplying to, our first customer was, of course, Bajaj Chetak. We're starting with 3-wheelers, and now we are going to work with the new EV companies, Also, we have got an order for castings with Aptiv, which supplies to Tata Motors. The aluminium casting, it's a housing actually. We won orders. So we are also looking at 4-wheeler tier 1s to supply to, who are making, say, battery packs or something, even for 4, because these are good orders. So, so like I mentioned in, I think, one of the calls last time, like even for IC engines, we are working with the Maruti Sundaram Partners JV. We have won the orders, will start next year. Then Cummins also, with Sundaram Partners, we won another good order next year. This is all for our Vallam plant, actually in Chennai, near Chennai. So we are working wherever we can make money and there is a good business opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Final question, any update on the tire business? We have seen a strong growth in aftermarket. So what has been the contribution from the tire segment, and how margins of this segment is as compared to the the company average margin?
So, okay, let me clarify to all the people: we do not manufacture tires.
Yeah.
After the strong reaction we got in 2019 from all of you, we had the same evening stopped the project, because to see the interest of all of you, because of your experience, you didn't think tires was a good business. So we don't manufacture tires. What I'm saying is we are trading in our aftermarket. It's still a very small thing, for 2 and 3-wheelers. We hope to expand it, but our aftermarket margins are not bad. Let me put it that way. So this is a business in trading we want to grow. So nothing to do with manufacturing. We are not in the 2 and 3-wheeler tire manufacturing business. So we are looking at now, like I said, a lot of more interesting organic, inorganic operations, in the EV space as well as on proprietary space for 4-wheelers as well as for 2-wheelers.
Perfect. Okay, that's it for me. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Arvind Sharma from Citi. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for taking my question. Sir, first question would be the India business in the ABS opportunity. And naturally, till now, it's a large global producer that had a big share. Now, that opportunity can be for you.
Mr. Sharma, this is...
I could understand the last sentence.
I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Sharma, your line is breaking. The audio is breaking from your line.
Hi, is it clear?
It's not clear, sir. Could you adjust your instrument or move to an area where you have connectivity?
Sure. Is it clear now?
Yes, it's better. Thank you.
Yes, it's clear.
All right. Thank you so much, and apologies for that. Sir, on the ABS opportunity in India, till now it's been one major global player that had a larger share. Since you are adding into it, what do you think, where do you think that your share in the overall pie can be in the domestic ABS market?
That's a very, I don't like to give forward-looking figures. I can only tell you that we have created the confidence with our first customer. We had a benchmark, a major competitor, Bosch, and we have achieved, we had a tough 3 years, but we could match the performance. I said we are very competitive. Quality has to be very good. So right now, our capacity is at 400,000 in a market of 3 to 3.5 million. Let us stabilize that. I said we'll do it by August 2022. We should reach, because the challenge is not that we cannot do it even from next quarter, but the semiconductor shortages are affecting the ABS ECU supplies from our major supplier, Mandohela. But we hope that from April we will start doing much better volumes, and that's why July, August we should reach. I'm hoping to reach peak run rate at 400,000 per annum, and then we'll take it from there, because we are engaged with other OEMs. You see, Bajaj, I've said, is our godfather, and I've always said that. They give us always the opportunities, and then the rest OEMs normally do follow. So we are engaged with a lot of them, because nobody wants to only depend on one supplier. So the opportunity is huge. It's a very high technology item, very difficult item to meet standards of performance. It's taken us 3 years, and I must say our test track, 29-acre test track, has helped us to achieve it at least 1 year faster. Though we've been late, but still I would say we were 1 year faster. So ABS is of course a very, very good opportunity. Going forward.
Sir, how cost efficient would be your ABS at the similar technology level? So does it provide the OEM more of a cost advantage while getting a similar or a higher quality of product?
Yes. So that's exactly what I said. See, Endurance always enters at lower price than competition. And then I've said many times, we have our own strategy on operations, on sourcing, on technology, value engineering. So we still like to make a decent amount of money.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, the second question would be the normal question on the European operations. If you could share the revenue, EBITDA and PAT in euro terms for this quarter.
Sure. Turnover second quarter 2021, 45.3 million. EBITDA 6.3 million, 13.8%. Net profit 1.6 million, 3.4%.
Thanks, Massimo. Can you share the similar number for last year, the same quarter? Is it possible?
Sure. 2020 turnover 56.3%, 56.3 million. EBITDA 9.8 million, 17.4%. Net result 3.8 million, 6.8%.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have the next question from the line of Sonal Gupta from L&T Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, and thanks a lot for taking my question. Sir, one was, could you repeat the aftermarket numbers? I mean, you said 7.3% of sales, but could you give us, again, sorry, I missed that, this year and last year numbers for Q2?
Yeah, so aftermarket, actually the numbers were 1,100.52 million in quarter 2 of this financial year, and last year quarter 2 was 713.54. So we had a growth of 54% over last year in the aftermarket.
And similarly, exports, you said 516 million. What was the number for last year?
Yeah, Yeah. So last year was 427. So about 21% growth, 21%.
And there would be an overlap between these two categories, exports and aftermarket, or there's not much of it?
There's an overlap. There is an overlap. I'll just tell you. I think I'll request Mr. Ray to answer that.
Aftermarket exports in quarter 2 this year was about 31 crores compared to 22.5 crores last year. So this grew by around 37-38%. And the number of total exports that Mr. Jain said just now includes these two numbers of aftermarket for the respective years.
Got it. No, that's very helpful. Thank you. And just on this, sir, on the any thoughts now on the PLI scheme and how would you be able to take advantage of it?
See, right now, I mean, what we have gone through, the only item right now which we can think of is of a CVT, continuous variable transmission. We need a clarity whether it's applicable for two-wheelers, and I'm also going to check on the ABS if that's valid. But some certain projects we are looking at, like I told you, organically as well as inorganically, those are fitting in this PLI scheme. So once we finalize that, those projects will help us. I cannot tell you what they are, but that will help us. But right now, I could only see a CVT there.
Right. And just a clarification on your Ather brake order. I mean, this is like the traditional thing that you're supplying even for the premium motorcycles in India, or is this sort of technologically different?
It is similar. Similar type of braking system. Of course, it is different, but it's similar.
Got it. Okay, sir. Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Chirag Jain from DAM Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Just wanted to get a sense in terms of the sourcing strategy for the new age electric two-wheeler startups versus the traditional two-wheeler companies. So in the two-wheeler industry, I think the supply chain is fairly well established, where large part of outsourcing is done, and OEMs typically tend to do the assembly part. Are we seeing similar sort of a sourcing strategy even in the electric two-wheeler startups, or there is a lot of in-sourcing with them in the initial phase so that they can respond to the market a bit faster? Any color on that front?
Yeah, so our products, which are brakes, suspension, and castings, is the same sourcing strategy. There is no change at all. In fact, the good part is that for the castings, it is from day one fully machined. Like when we started the earlier IC engine business for castings, a lot of the customers had in-house machining, whether semi-finished or full machining. So here for EV, everybody is giving orders only with machining. So that's a good value add for us, But brakes and suspension, look, they don't have the technology inside. So that has to be done by us only.
Okay. And second, on the competitive dynamics, since a lot of players would be keen to enter, let's say, electric two-wheeler startups. So how is the competitive dynamics for the products that we are doing? I mean, vis-a-vis the traditional two-wheeler OEMs and, let's say, electric two-wheelers, are the pricing slightly lower because a lot of people would be keen to enter into them?
In fact, I would say the pricing, I'll just put it this way, I don't want to, the pricing is attractive.
Okay.
And the competition is the same. I don't see anybody new coming in.
Okay. And just last thing, any thoughts on the Tesla, the die casting, let's say, disruption that they are trying to do, a single or maybe two sort of a component die casting for, let's say, four-wheelers. Any thoughts around that? Could that be a disruptive risk over a longer term?
No. See, we are not engaged with Tesla, but they have their own very captive, it's called some Giga Press or something, which they are doing it in-house, which is a technology of their own. They have, I think, worked with an Italian company called IDRA, if I'm not mistaken. And that's a huge, huge investment, and I believe they are doing it in-house. I'm sure they are maybe having some suppliers for castings even outside. I don't know really. I think that Massimo Benuti can maybe throw some more flavor if he knows this. But we are not engaged at this stage from India with Tesla.
No, but can that technology or that manufacturing process could be sort of a threat for our aluminum casting business? I mean, this is obviously from a longer term perspective.
See, what I believe, I understand what Mr. Elon Musk with Tesla has done is he's reduced the number of die casting components.
Yes.
So if there were 5-6 parts going in an assembly is made into one in one die casting, which requires a massive press with a more investment, and it is a technology. And he has, I think, jointly worked, I believe, with EDRA from Italy to make these special presses. I don't know whether there is a clause whether he cannot sell those machines to others. I don't know whether there is a clause like that, but it's not affecting us in any way.
Okay. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Yeah.
Thank you. Participants, if you have a question, you may enter star and 1. We have the next question from the line of Pramod Amte from InCred Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. This is with regard to ABS. Since you're almost started the production now, what type of challenges you feel, considering it's a very high valuation and a critical component, you are going to face in the near term, and also in terms of what type of global capabilities you may have to bring on board, considering that it has a lot of electronics also parts involved in it, if we have to ramp up to the requirement of other OEMs?
Yeah, see, I think right now, of course, like I've always mentioned, the focus is on process controls and quality. So it's very important that we have 0 customer complaints and no warranties. I mean, that's our target, which is, I think, one, I would not say it's a challenge as well as a focus for us. And that's why we started with, a few thousand, then we went to 8,000, and we'll go slowly to 10, 15, 20, 25, 35, ultimately. So I think we want to do a gradual things to look at the quality. That is very, very important. As far as the concern today, which is there, the challenge is the semiconductors. I can easily supply double, easily. The semiconductor shortage, so we've already placed the longer term orders with Mando Hella, which will start increasing from January, and then we should normalize at our requirement. But at the same time, I think, just to tell you in general, I'll only say one sentence: we'd like to de-risk as much as possible all these concerns. Whether it is a new supplier or it is in-house, that we will see. It'll take time, but that's always been our strategy. We do in-sourcing like we are doing, I said, like we did wire braid hoses for ABS. We are doing in-house with our own technology. We're going to aluminum forgings. We'll be depending on high-cost suppliers from Europe. So we are doing our own. These are all areas where we want to make more money. So I would say these are strategies we are going to adopt. We already started working to make more money on the ABS. So I think there would be a lot of de-risking happening in future.
Okay. And second is for new order wins for ABS. Considering your experience, and as you alluded that you were marginally behind the timeline to meet the production, do you get more confidence now if you win new orders? Is there a possibility of executing on time the new orders, or you can shorten that production or the win to production timeline for ABS specifically?
So definitely we can, based on our experience of last 3 years in meeting the benchmark standards, we are very confident of doing it in a shorter period of time. One of the biggest advantages Endurance has is its own test track. I don't need customer test track or the ARAI test tracks or other test tracks. We'll do it on our own test track with the supervision of our OEM customers. So the lead time will be short. Of course, so lead time will be short. The only challenge would be the semiconductors. But I'm told from quarter 4 of this financial year, things will improve.
Sure, sir.
Mr. Amte, we are unable to hear you.
No, I said I'm done. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you. Participants, if you have a question, you may enter star and 1. We have the next question from the line of Jinesh Gandhi from Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Hello.
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 Yeah. Yeah, hi. So my next question pertains to the EU business. We have seen a substantial reduction in staff cost on QoQ basis. Any one-off there, or this is primarily to do with the contract workers being lesser?
Massimo, I think it's for you, Massimo?
Massimo, there's a on Europe about staff cost. So, Jinesh, can you repeat the question once more?
Yeah. So we have seen a good reduction in staff cost on quarter-on-quarter basis vis-a-vis first quarter. So is there any one-off, or this is normal variance in line with the production?
No, there is nothing important. There is only a reduction due to wait a moment because I'm checking the number. There is a reduction of 4 million euros. No, it's only due to the different application of the cost due to the leasing contract. Because I explained to you, in Italy, the leasing contracts are expenses and are not salary. And as you can imagine, due to the reduction of volume that we have had, we are doing insourcing of activity. The first activity that we can do in Italy, in Europe, when there is a reduction of volume, is to stop the leasing contract, okay, and to insource all the activity in order to work with our payroll people. And this reduction is only due to this effect.
Okay. And the second question on the EU business, again, this quarter we had a tax write back. So what should be the sustainable tax rate for full year this year and going forward?
Sorry. Hello?
Yeah. Did you get my question, Massimo? Primarily for the tax rate? The tax rate for full year, considering the second quarter had a write back, and sustainable tax rate going forward.
Yes, frankly speaking, I hope no, because as you can imagine, when there is a reduction in the tax rate, it means that there is some company that is losing money, or you are receiving incentive from the government. In this moment, it's only due to the investment that we have done in the past, where we have the tax asset. Also, in the next quarter, the situation will be the same. Starting from the first quarter 2022, we will come back to the normality.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I would like to hand the floor back to the management for closing comments. Please go ahead.
No, from my side, I think no further remarks, no further comment. And I want to just thank everybody for their time on this call.
Thank you, members of the management. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Axis Capital Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.